What's the biggest obstacle you faced in your life so far that you were able to overcome, and how did you do it?
Raising myself, I think. Um, I just did what I had to do. Like, um, anything I had to do to make sure I can eat every day, I could be comfortable. Also, my mother going to prison, that was really hard. I didn't have contact with her for like the first few years, so missing my mom, missing my mother was like really hard. Um, and during the time she went to prison, like the same month she went to prison, her mom died. And then, you know, my grandmother dying, that was hard. My best friend dying. There's a lot of hard things that I faced that I overcame, and I could just say the only thing that I did to overcome, the one thing I did that had something in common was to just live for them. Um, take it a day at a time.
Now, we have talked in previous questions, uh, very small though, about your mother in prison, but
Yes.
would like to ask a few more questions about that experience there. Um, how long was she incarcerated in prison for? I know she's in jail now, as you mentioned previously, but
Mm-hmm.
just the prison portion.
She did 6 years in prison, but her trial, like, she was in there 2 years before she got her 6 year sentence. So she really did 8 years, like, just gone. But, yeah, 6 total prison years and then 2 in jail, and then she's in jail right now.
And I believe you said previously she was out free in the free world for maybe a year and a half before she ends up going back to jail.
Yes.
Now, were you there when she got arrested for the prison stint?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that like?
Um,
Did you know what was going on? When she got arrested, did you think she was going to be gone for a while? You had no idea, that sort of thing?
well, she was on the run. I knew she was on the run. I knew we just packed up our house and left. And, I saw her get arrested, and I saw my grandmother, her mother, wiping her tears from her face. And I remember a lot of red lights, red and blue lights, and I cried, you know, seeing my mom get arrested. That's all I remember.
Was that something she prepared you or the rest of your siblings for?
No, she didn't expect it to happen. She never really got caught up like that. Like, she's been in jail before then, but like petty traffic tickets and stuff like that. But never really. She knew what was going on in her life, but she didn't really explain it to us. We were oblivious, really, but we knew it was something going on, but not what exactly.
But you did know she was on the run from something.
Yeah.
And even though you knew she was on the run for something, you didn't know how serious that punishment might be if she were to ever get caught and sentenced and that sort of thing, and it went all the way.
No, I
And
didn't know.
how did she end up getting arrested?
They came and surrounded where we were at, and they took her.
And then previously you mentioned something to the fact of you got, I can't remember the verbiage exactly, but something like you got caught up in the system yourself or something like that.
Yeah.
Were you taken away, for lack of a better phrase, because your mother's locked up and that was your supervision, your parent at the time? Were you taken into like foster care or something of that nature? Was that what you meant by when you said the system
Yeah.
got a hold of you type of thing?
Um, yeah, we were put in a system. But my dad came and got us. Then he dropped me off to my mom's stepsister, and she fostered me for a while, but then I left. And I went back with him, my dad. I was basically like, you gotta take me. Like, I'm your child. Just take me. You don't have to take care of me. I'll take care of myself. Just take me. But, yeah. I have 2 little brothers. They still in the system. But not for long.
And how long did you end up being in the system for when you were in there?
Not long, really. I was in the system for like a day. My dad came and got us. Then my auntie fostered us. I was with her for like a year.
And was that all the siblings at that time that your father comes and gets, or was the 2 brothers left behind, or
They
that
were
was
left behind. They're not his kids, so he didn't take them. They're still there.
What was your opinion on that?
I begged him to get them, but he could not do it. He could barely take care of the ones he have. So I don't blame him, but I wish that I didn't have to separate from my brothers.
You still communicate with your brothers?
Yes.
Maintain a relationship with them?
Yep.
When it comes to your mother, she ends up getting sentenced at some point.
Yeah.
Because you did use the word prison. Was it state or federal?
State.
And did you maintain a relationship with her throughout those 6 years while she was incarcerated for
Not
the sentence?
The first 4. I couldn't contact her. I had no way, but the last 2, yeah.
And how would you describe that relationship while she was in prison?
I mean,
And the times you were able to finally communicate with her and things
it
like
was
that?
good. It was good to finally talk to her and see her and be able to, we went to visit her too. So I was able to see my mom. I felt good. Felt great.
You would talk to her on the phone. Were there ever written letters or emails or just phone conversation?
Written letters on the phone. As soon as we could as soon as she get in contact with us, because she looked for us, she contacted us.
Now, from previous interviews, there's some people that have both sides. I've interviewed people in the past where they were the parent in the scenario and their kids were in the free world. And there's some parents, when they're locked up, they don't want their kids to see them in that environment. They don't want them to come and visit, that sort of thing. And it could be the opposite as well. Interviewing kids like yourself that were on the outside in the free world with a parent in prison, some kids may not want to see their parent in that environment, so they won't visit them. They'll communicate, but they won't visit them. Did you have any thought on that at the time? Did that even enter your mind, or not even a thought?
I didn't want to see my mom like that, but I knew that it would help her get through it, seeing me and talking to me and being able to be like how we are.
Was that something she ever mentioned to you? Did she say, don't come visit, I'd rather see you
No,
on...
she wanted to see us. She wanted me to visit her to help her get through it.
And how many times do you think you probably did visit her?
Probably like a total of 15.
Do you remember the very first visit?
Yeah.
Are you able to take the viewers on what you were feeling? What was that like?
I was so happy. My mom haven't seen me since I was a little girl. And I was growing up and I was getting bigger. And she was shocked to like see me like that, because when she left me, I was little. And when she saw me, I was big. And she just was so happy, and to see her happy and to see her after not seeing her and she lost her mom. I got a feel of my grandmother in her, It was amazing, incredible.
She was crying, you were crying?
Yeah. I wasn't crying. I was encouraging her not to cry. But she was mostly smiles. She cried for like a second.
And when you do visit her physically for the first time, is it a glass between you two? Or are you able to actually touch her?
They allowed us one hug when we came in and one hug leaving. But we couldn't just like touch.
What'd that hug feel like?
You know, it was my mom. It felt like home.
Now, how far was the distance between you at that time, wherever she was stationed at? Or were there different places she was stationed at in those last 2 years that you
Yeah,
finally get in contact
like
with?
at first she was too far for us to even visit out of the city. Like out of the so then she got restationed her last year there. And that's when we were able to visit her.
You mentioned her mother, which was your grandmother, passed away during her incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
And this was your own mother incarcerated. So did you have any other female figure in your life during her incarceration?
My dad's mother. She was always in my life, though.
Do you see your mother on her first day out after 6 years? Really 8 if you include the
Yeah.
the initial lockup, but you were there her first day out?
Yes. Yeah.
What was that like? Are you able to take the viewers through that experience?
She was happy. I was happy. I just got out too. I was like, we free, you know, like it felt good to see her free.
How long were you locked up in juvenile at the time?
Like a month.
Did she have any opinion or thought on that?
She told me that she was sad because she never wanted to see me in there.
She never actually physically sees you in there. She just knows you're in there.
Yeah, she didn't ever want to know that I was in there. She wanted what's best for me.
So technically speaking, you get out how long before you actually see your mother out for the first time?
I got out 2 weeks later. She got out.
Wait, 2 weeks before she got out?
No, 2 weeks later.
Oh, 2 weeks after she got out.
No, I got out 2 weeks before she got out. She got out 2 weeks after I got out.
Got it. So you were able to really be there on her real first day.
Yeah.
Was that emotional at all? Her first day
Probably
out?
not even like 2 weeks. It probably was like a week and a day. But it wasn't emotional. I don't think a lot. It wasn't really emotional. It was a more of a relief.
Was it awkward at all that first day out?
No.
You mentioned your mother was out in the free world again for a year and a half before she ends up going back to county jail at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When she does come out for that year, and when she's back out for that year and a half, did you ever end up, refresh the memory, did you ever end up living with her at all during that year and a half that she was out?
She lived with me.
Okay. Oh, you did mention that.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah. But it wasn't long, I believe you said.
No.
That's right.
But she was never there. Like, she just literally had her stuff there. She never was there, but she lived. She say she lived there, but she never was really there.
Which brings forward this next question was when she is out, and those times she would be there, if at all.
She was never there.
Oh, literally never there, just
like,
for stuff.
She would come by and, like, say hi, check on me, or bring my little brothers by when they were able to visit. But she never, like, stayed a night. Like, she never really slept there.
Because the question was going to be asked if the dynamic of her as a parent and you, her daughter, changed at all after her 8 years of being incarcerated. So, for example...
Yes, it did.
Okay. Well, just for the viewers, I'll just share the example. The example was going to be, sometimes parents are parents,
Yeah.
but then they get locked up for a significant length of time. And when they come out, it's not a parent-daughter dynamic anymore. Sometimes it's like a friend dynamic, like a friend-to-friend dynamic. It's not that parent-daughter dynamic anymore.
My mom didn't really know how to
If you get my
cope.
drift.
Yeah, she didn't really know how to cope, really, in this new world. You know, that's a long time to be in a box. But, especially with girls, you know, she didn't really know how to communicate and cope with girls, but she spent most of her time, like, trying to get back on her feet. So we didn't really spend a lot of time, but we did get to spend some time together. Not really a lot. I was always trying to work too and chase my dreams and my career.
Now, winding down the questions about having a parent in prison, if you feel like you've answered these next few questions already, then you can skip it or add on to what you've already said. And if not, feel free to provide an answer.
Okay.
But what did this entire experience teach you? What did you learn having a parent in prison for the length of time you did? Or incarcerated for the length of time you did, I should say.
Life is not easy. Sometimes it takes a turn for the worst. But always be prepared, I guess. Always be prepared to take care of yourself. You should know how to take care of yourself, because it's not promised that someone will take care of you. Tomorrow's not promised to no one.
Was that something you had to learn on your own, or was that something she taught you
I
before
had
she
to
ends up?
learn that on my own.
Was there any resentment or understanding of this ordeal that your mother went through?
I understood.
If you could turn back the hands of time, would you have done anything different in this situation of her
No.
being incarcerated? Could this have been prevented at all?
No.
What do you wish you knew before your parent was incarcerated, if anything? Is there something you look back and say, man, I wish someone would have told me this, or someone would have told me that?
No.
What do you want people watching this interview to know about those who have a parent in prison?
Just be there for them. It's not easy for them. It might not be easy for you, but they might need you to be there for them.
Again, winding down here, circumstances could be different for everyone. But
Also, prison changes people.
Care to shed any more light on that?
They might not be like a dramatic change, but it changes people in a way that it's not easy to explain. They just come out different.
Now, when it comes to your mother, she was a little different, as you mentioned. Did you see signs of her going back to her old ways of being herself, the mother that you knew her of, or not enough time in that year and a half to really gauge it?
Not enough time.
Now, circumstances could be different for everyone, but generally speaking, let's say somebody's watching this interview and their parent just became incarcerated themselves. Anything else you would say to them other than what you've already said? Because you have said a lot, like
Not
taking
that I
care of
can think
yourself
of.
and things of that nature. Just didn't know if there was anything else you wanted to add there.
Not that I can think of.
And final question, anything else you want to mention about having a parent incarcerated, or a question you weren't asked people want to know about it?
No.